PS3 game. PS4, I guess 2015. Yeah. The player and Robin meet up with Risky Devil after completing a high number of crew missions and race with them in several drift events.
I will say when I saw that shit, like I was like, "Oh fuck, I know who that is." And
Yo,
like,
they didn't even put the IS in it though. What the fuck? That's like the most iconic Risky Devil car. What the fuck? That makes me so mad.
That car's never been in any Need for Speed game.
Oh, it's because is it because didn't Toyota have some shit where they put the Supra in there though. Interesting. Because I was gonna say Toyota was like, we're not gonna be in any more Need for Speeds because it promotes street racing, and we don't want to like associate with that. So I wonder if that has something to do with it, because Lexus is like a parent brand. No, Toyota's the parent brand, but whatever.
Whack.
I wonder if that's why, dude. But yeah, I mean, it's like, how are you gonna have Risky Devil in a video game and not the IS300? I remember that was like the first IS where I was like, oh shit, like this is, like these can be drift cars, and B, like they look super tight.
Yeah.
I've always liked IS's, but yeah, seeing his was like next level. Which, speaking of, did I already do my number 2? Did I say Hammer Time already?
No.
Okay, Hammer Time. Moving on, number 3. No, I'm playing.
Hammer Time. I feel like I know which one is gonna be on your number 3.
We already mentioned it.
We did?
It's Risky Devil. Risky Devil's my number 3. Okay.
Oh, well, that's not what I expected then.
No? Mm-mm. Oh, now I'm curious what you thought my number 3. Well, hold on a second. So Hammer Time is number 2. You can notice a trend, I think, with both Darius and Eyes, is all of these teams are super cohesive and have like a really distinct style to them. Mm-hmm. And so I think Hammer Time is on the same wavelength. You know what I mean? Like just the color coordination, the driving. I think it all just lines up really, really well. And I do like the semi-roll-in definitely helped with the cloud.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to find new ways to stunt. Like, you got to find new ways to innovate in the drift scene. And, if it's not going to be the driving or the way your cars are painted, because these guys are all white, you got to stunt another way. And the big rig, that's ultimate stunting right there.
That's ultimate stunting. And then Risky Devil, I think, earned a spot. I mean, no shit, they earned a spot, but I think my top 2 teams are relatively new, and that's why I like them, is because they're kind of continuing this standard of quality, But Risky Devil, it's like, dude, they've just been out for so long doing the same thing and being consistent about it, and so that's what gets them the spot. And because there's so many, you know what I mean? Like, some of these teams are smaller, I mean, you've got anywhere from like 3 to 6 people or whatever. Risky Devil really fills out the roster, and they've established themselves for years now. And so there's absolutely something to be said for that. And then moving on, I guess, from that, what did you think my number 3 was going to be?
So, okay, I don't want to say this wrong because I know they've clarified this in the past. Dynasty.
Oh, damn it. So when I was compiling this list, I was doing teams that were like, from this latest gallery. Uh-huh. You are absolutely right. Dynasty would have 1,000% made this list. 1,000 and oh my God, yes. Like that should be my honorable mention, TBH.
I mean, they're number 3 on my list, so because they're the only ones doing this old school like drifting. Keeping the old school alive. I mean, and they're keeping them alive like the only way you really can these days, where it's like really just the shell, and then everything else about the car is like swapped over for like a modern car. So.
Right. I think they leave most of the, I think that most of them run a rear live axle still. Mm-hmm. I think they really just fuck with the front end. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I don't know enough, and I'm not close enough with those guys to speculate, but no, I mean, you're totally right, dude. And actually, we're going to talk about this when we move to the Japanese teams. Yeah, dude, that was a good one. My honorable mention was No Mind Drift. I shouldn't say only, but the G35 sedan is just so clean. And like, I know Alex doesn't have it anymore, but that shit was bussin' heavy.
I'm looking at pictures right now. I've seen this car before, but
dude, heavy. So
G35s are getting a lot of love. That's like our chaser in the States, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't love that.
Why not? That's what it is.
That is a hot take, Brotato.
I mean, what else could it be?
Like, what would the chaser be? That's a good question.
It's the G35.
No. I refuse to believe this, dude.
Okay.
Damn it. Now you got me feeling some type of way. I don't know, man. Because I want to say like E-Series Beamers, you know? E36, E46, I think is like the closest. And I know that's not an American car, but I'm saying like, I feel like that's the closest, you know, four-door.
I mean, I want it to be Cadillacs, but I think there was like one guy drifting a Cadillac that I know of. They're still too expensive. So,
well, no, I mean, the CTS-Vs are pretty common now.
I've seen one, and it was like an all black, and that's the only one I've seen recently.
Yeah,
but I don't know who else is doing it.
Yeah, I mean, you're starting to see some of the older CTS-Vs pop up. My buddy had one. They're a Bodie, dude. Like, at least his was. I'm not saying they all are, but they're just so fucking heavy. Yeah, dude, that G35 is sick. I'd say the Beamer is like the closest, just in terms of inline six rear-wheel drive four-door. I mean, what, you know, because you're right. I mean, yeah, the G35 is a 6-cylinder, and it does handle well. You know, I drifted one in Utah, and I was actually pleasantly surprised at how easy it was. But
I'm jealous of how many cars you've gotten to drive. On the side note, just because I haven't gotten to drive that many, so let alone drift. I've drifted like 1 or 2 cars, I guess you could say.
Right.
So.
Well, it's not great when you crash them.
Oh, geez.
Were you there for that? Or maybe, I'm sure I've told you this before. We had a friend in Japan, Tyler. He had bought Donnie's R33 sedan. Do you remember that?
I know the car. I don't think I've seen this guy driving though.
Yeah.
But I know that car.
He was learning how to drift, and I was out there with him his first day. And it was just I don't know exactly. Hold on. My cat was up on my desk about to bump my mic. But it was his first day out. I was teaching him how to drift, and I don't remember what it was, dude. I don't remember if it was the alignment or his coilovers or what. It just, his car wanted to grip up all the time. And so we were drifting around the course, like lots of clutch kicks just for me to keep it out. And we were coming up on the wall, and it straightens out mid-turn, dude. Like, I was in it, and it just goes foom, straight at the wall. And I saved it. Like, I locked my brakes for a half a second, maybe. You know, and then I realized, like, oh, I'm locked up. This isn't going to do me any good either. So I let off the brakes, and right as I did, I was like, dude, I must have been like, I don't know, 2 or 3 inches from the wall. And I straightened out, but the car swayed over and it bumped the wall in the rear. And so the quarter panel dented in like 2 inches. And I was like, I am so sorry. Like, he had just gotten the car.
Was he ticked off? I mean, that kind of comes with the territory.
Yeah, he wasn't happy. But it's also worse when somebody else does it to your car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it was me and I'd wrecked my own car, it's one thing. But if somebody else was driving my car and they smashed my quarter panel in, I would have been pissed. And so I told him, I was like, dude, like, go to a body shop, get a quote. I will, you know, I'll pay you for whatever it costs to fix it. Because he was trying to keep the car and take it back to the States. Mm-hmm. And then like a month or 2 later, he ended up totaling it. And I was like, oh, thank God. Thank God. It's like, it worked out. Honestly, like, I shouldn't say it worked out, but my boy got paid out the ass and he bought another car. So it did work out.
Hey, just table this for later, but we got to bring up a topic for a future show of all the cars we saw get demolished in Japan. Like, just completely annihilated from people.
There were a fair amount.
That'll be a future topic coming up.
I'm writing this note right now. Cars that got destroyed when we were overseas. I will never forget how good your Skyline handled.
Dude, don't bring that. I'm going to shed a tear right now.
Dude.
I was literally just thinking about that car.
Yeah, well, I mean,
get over it.
Cars that got destroyed. So, but no, dude, that was one, man. Like, I got behind the wheel and it just felt good. Like, I was actually really, really surprised. Because in my mind, I had just built this dislike for that front end, is it a double wishbone?
In the Skyline?
Yeah, what do they call that? It's just a totally different. It's
like a big ass arm that goes up from the knuckle that connects to
yeah, it's a double
camber arm at the top.
Yeah.
So it's not double wishbone though.
It kind of is. Let me look.
Not really.
Dog.
No, it's definitely not.
Dog, Google double wishbone and tell me it isn't.
Let me Google this shit. Double wish.
I mean, it's technically not, I guess, because the arm doesn't go. I don't know, dude. I don't fucking. Everybody's gonna listen to this and be like, "These guys don't know fucking shit about cars."
It's not a double wishbone because it doesn't go through the arm like that.
Well,
it
just goes around,
arm.
But it's like the same concept. Is my point.
I guess. Well,
I don't know, dude.
We'll just agree to disagree.
Because it's not like a McPherson strut either.
And we'll put a poll on the Instagram for everybody to is this a double wishbone or not?
It acts like one. Anyways, I always had this prejudice that a McPherson strut was better for drifting than a double wishbone. Just because they were easier for angle, they were more minimal, like less parts to break. Like everything in my mind said that was the better setup. But after driving the Skyline, I was like, oh, these are actually like pretty decent. Like it felt really, really good and well set up. Yeah, that totally changed my outlook.
Yeah.
And so,
that car, I will say, so, I'm a big gamer and I'm into sim racing and everything. That car, and probably the reason why I ended up crashing it the way I did after taking it to the track that time, it gave me a certain sense of confidence because it handled, in real life, it handles better than what you expect. Like, right. And maybe it was just a setup of that car, but it just really inspired confidence. So it made me think I was better than I was, and that will lead into how I destroyed it, which I've talked about on the show before. So.
I don't know, man. I really think that it was just a really well set up car. I understand what you're saying, and I still tell people all the time too. About how I've never about how legitimate sim racing is for actually teaching valuable driving skills. Because that blew my mind when you were like, yeah, I've never driven a clutch before, and then you just did it, and then your first day of drifting was cake. It was mind-blowing to see oh, this dude's just played video games, and then this is kind of how he drives in real life. It was oh, maybe the games are pretty accurate after all.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, some games. It's very specific games.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So anyways, yeah, we got off on a huge tangent. However, that being said, I did want to talk about some Japanese teams, and my top list for Japanese teams was Motorfix, which is basically Japanese Shi Dynasty, except I would argue a little shittier, on purpose. You know what I mean? They really take these cars that just look kind of like something you'd find in a field in Japan, that's all rusted out and shit. And then they just drift them, and they're so sick. And they're all 70s Corollas or 80s, AE86s, TE72s. And they're just so sick, dude. So Motorfix is top of my list for sure. And then
I'm looking at it right now. I've never seen this team.
Dog. So good. It's so good. And then when we were talking about Animal Style and Auto Factory Realize and those guys, it reminded me of the Ito Auto D1 team. I shouldn't say team. I don't they're just two D1 drivers that are both Ito Auto. I guess that's a team. I don't know. But it reminded me of that style too, just because they're all about livery, and the colors are just super bright, and it's just got a very similar style to it. And so yeah, I thought that was super dope. But
yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just lost in looking at these cars. This looks like I really wish more Japanese people. I really wish I spoke Japanese, because maybe there is a YouTube presence for these guys, but there's so much knowledge that would come out of these guys and how they keep these cars going, and they're doing all these swaps and all this shit that is really lost in translation. It would be great to be able to just talk to these guys.
Well, what's the they do have a website. Is it Minkara? What is the
Minkara? Yeah.
Oh, but there's another blog site too, and I can't think of what it's called.
I've only ever used Minkara.
Yeah, I don't know. It's Car Domain, or I don't remember, dude. I'd have to look it up. But yeah, I mean, they do have their own blog sites where I've really deep dived to find SEMA info. Yeah, it is tough though. I mean, you're absolutely right. And so the Motorfix, I do want to shout out a website for those of you that are always looking for super, Japanese just media in general.